phone call. With journalist Dinesh Thakur, Uday Pratap. Well, at Raisina Dialogue 2025, in conversation now with Lord Karan Bilimoria, Member House of Lords, United Kingdom. Thank you very much for speaking with us on NewsX.
Great to be with you.
Firstly, it was a very pertinent topic that you were conversing with on the first day of the Raisina Dialogue this year. How did your session go? What were the moot points which emerged?
This has been an excellent occasion with Raisina. The first kick-off event that I took part in was talking about security, energy, the Indo-Pacific, climate change. It was very constructive, and I came away having learnt a lot.
I have to ask you now also about India-UK relations. So many different countries represented here, a lot of bilaterals happening as well. We're seeing movement on various fronts. Let's talk about the United Kingdom. How do you see India-UK relations currently progressing and the main, strategic points which the alliance can move towards?
Yes, I was very proud to be the first person of Indian origin, in fact, the first ethnic minority president of the Confederation of British Industry, the CBI, the equivalent of the CII here in India. And during my tenure in 2022, we started the negotiations of the UK-India Free Trade Agreement. Here we are 3 years later and we still haven't signed the agreement. And of course, you remember Prime Minister Boris Johnson saying we'd get it done by Diwali. Well, we've had 3 Diwalis and it still hasn't been done. So what I'm saying to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, please, let us sign this deal. There are 1 or 2 outstanding items. Let's sort them out and sign the deal because we need it. It will help turbocharge trade, business and investment between our 2 countries. And let me put this into context. India is the 5th largest economy in the world. UK is the 6th largest. And yet India is only the 12th largest trading partner of the UK. I mean, it should be one of the top 3. Our trade between the 2 countries in goods and services is about $50 billion. If we do this deal, when we do this deal, I can guarantee within a few years it'll go up to $100 billion. We will double it. And that's to the benefit of both countries, to our economies, to our businesses, to our people. So let's get the deal done. Let's not the best be the enemy of the good.
Well, let's certainly hope for that to happen very, very soon. Since we are on the topic of trade, I have to quickly ask you on trade with the US. How do you see that progressing under the presidency of Donald Trump? We're seeing this, talk of tariffs, of course, which is having its impact on various countries. How do you see UK-US relations, particularly in the ambit of trade, progressing under the Trump presidency?
Well, what we do know is tariff wars have never worked in the past. Historically, they have not worked. And in fact, the country that it bites the most is the one that starts imposing the tariffs themselves. And we know this from history. The United States, of course, is by far the largest economy in the world. Put that into context. The whole of the EU, 27 countries, and the UK put together 500 million people. The US economy of 350 million people is bigger than the whole of the EU and the UK put together. That's how big and powerful the United States is. However, when it comes to trade, the United States only makes up 13% of world trade. The other 87% want to carry on trading with each other on a multilateral basis. And that is what we want to do. And we must try and avoid tariffs if at all we can. And where the UK is concerned, the UK is seen by the USA, by India, as a gateway to Europe. And even though we're not members of the European Union, and it was a big mistake to leave the European Union. I think Brexit was a huge act of self-inflicted harm by the United Kingdom. But in spite of that, we are still seen as a gateway to Europe, as a bridge between the United States and Europe and India and Europe. And I think the UK is uniquely positioned to be able to hopefully try and avoid any tariffs from the United States.
My final question to you then is, of course, on the theme of peace as well that we're seeing this year at Raisina Dialogue. And, of course, that theme is being deliberated upon here, even as we hope for a resolution to the Russia-Ukraine dispute. We do know mediation is happening, which the US is very keen on. There's that all-important Trump-Putin phone call as well that everyone has their eyes on. How hopeful are you that we will be able to bring about, peace and a ceasefire this year?
When I was president of the Confederation of British Industry, the Ukraine war started during my presidency. And I worked very closely with the Ukrainian ambassador in the United Kingdom, in London, in trying to help. Because it was an awful situation at the beginning. The Russians When Putin invaded, he thought he would walk in and take over Ukraine. The Ukrainians decided to fight. It's been awful. 3 years, the thousands of lives lost on both sides, the wounded on both sides. Ukraine alone has over 80,000 amputees. Young lives ruined. We've got to stop this war. And the sooner we have peace, the better. And I do hope now we will have peace in that war, which will benefit everyone around the world, including, of course, Europe and Ukraine and Russia themselves. And let's also not forget, Putin made a big mistake. What he has done is, by this invasion, Sweden and Finland are now NATO members. And these are two formidable defense powers. Finland has a border with Russia as long, 1,300, 1,400 kilometers, as Ukraine does. Finland has fought a war with Russia before. Finland can mobilize 300,000 trained troops within 3 weeks. Finland has a very sophisticated armaments defense industry, including rifles. Sweden has a highly sophisticated defense industry, fighter aircraft, artillery, tanks. These are really strong defense countries that are now part of NATO. And I think this is a big mistake that he's made, but let's have the peace as soon as possible.
We certainly hope for that. Thank you very much for your time, Lord Bilimoria, and thank you for speaking with us at NewsX.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
This is Dinesh Uday Pratap Singh in Delhi, NewsX. Well, good news, of course, has come in for the United States.